for joining us on Key Factors, presented by theraceguide.com.au. Stu, Rich and Michael here to take you through, well, let's say a bumper weekend of sport, but we do have the Epsom Handicap headlining things at Randwick. But what a weekend. We've got the AFL Grand Final, the NRL Grand Final, plenty of Group 1 racing action. It's going to be a belter.
Yeah, can't wait for it. Almost have to take the week off work to do the form for this weekend. It's a fantastic weekend of racing, plus the footy. You know, we could end up a long way in front or a long way behind. Hopefully it's the former.
That's it. It's going to be a big weekend, as we said. And even before we rip into the quaddie, there's a couple of good races to get the day started, and an early showdown as well between Capitalist and a Stern.
Yeah, Stern's obviously very hard to beat in that race. The 2-year-old's really interesting. We'll look at those races on theraceguide.com.au as well. And Spirit Gym's improving for Wallace, so keep an eye on him early in the card as well.
Always good to have a look at a few things early in the card too. But look, let's jump straight into the quaddie. The first we're going to have a look at today is the Flight Stakes. Always a great race. Lost a little bit on Thursday with the scratching of Ome Sword, but still a good field nonetheless.
Yeah, the race conditions for the overall day, just quickly, 5 hours of great racing from 12:20 to 5:20. A good fall, the rail out 3 metres and the bias fair to off rails. So we can flick across to the race conditions for the first leg of the quaddie and see how those conditions play out for that race. It's a Group 1 3-year-old race, a fantastic race, like you said, Stu. Group 1 quality for the fillies. Good fall, expected. A steady to fair tempo. There's not too many horses in this race, so it could be only steady. And a fair to off rails bias to keep your eye on all day Saturday.
Definitely a little bit of weather around on Thursday as we film this show, so good fall. We're hopeful there, and that's the way we're going to play it.
Yeah, so let's look at the key factors for this race based on those race conditions. Weight, because of the set weights we talked about, all these fillies are on the same weight, so the classier types are suited. The distance, the 1,600 metres at Randwick, is a really important factor for these Group 1 fillies. And sprint, small field, steady tempo, you got to quicken.
Well, as we said, there's no Ome Sword in the race this week, but what we're going to do here is just... well, we're having a look at Yankee Rose. The new odds came up on Thursday, straight into $1.90. Not so much early money like last time, but the money might still come. She's definitely at the top of the market there. We've got Global Glamour in behind at $4.20. Skylight Glow and Awoke, a little bit of a nibble there at $6 in the market, and out to Suzanne at $9.50. So interesting race, but Yankee definitely on top.
It's all about Yankee Rose and whether she's blooming for this race on Saturday. So let's just look at her in the two replays. We're going to concentrate and see how good this horse is going. The first one's the Golden Rose first up. An incredible feat to try and accomplish here. First up, Group 1, 1,400 metres, and she's out here in the lead, Stu.
Yeah, that's her in the white and the blue there, but look, the challenges are coming hard and fast here, and that's obviously a Stern down the outside, but, you know, she didn't shirk at her task here, being ridden in the lead, and, definitely didn't give up.
Yeah, she's a really genuine filly. She always tries hard, which is why Van Dyke can try this type of thing with her. She held her place in 6th, and there was a margin to 7th, so the form lines look pretty good.
They are cracking form lines, especially with a Stern. Let's have a look now. We're just going to stick with Yankee Rose because, look, let's face it, Ome Sword was scratch. It's all about now Yankee Rose. How has she returned? Let's go have a look at a barrier trial here, a recent one.
I want to really have a look at this barrier trial again because this is the one form watchers we'll be watching in detail to see just how well she's going. She had a couple of setbacks before her first up run. She's had this trial since the Golden Rose, and about now you're thinking, gee, she's not going that well, Stu.
Yeah, but look, it's the way she really picks up here, and as you've said, the big question is she back? Is she ready? And to me, this is look like she's hitting the line as good as anything there.
Yeah, you got to like that last 50 metres.
Oh, well, look, that's what we've got to weigh up. That's the big question of the race. Is she back? The money may come, it may not, but at the moment, are we looking for gold bars straight across for her? Is she just going to be across the top?
Well, you'd think so, yeah, based on her class. From a weight perspective, she's easily got the golden bar. She should be getting much more weight than these other fillies in a handicap. Distance, you know, she was a favourite for a Group 1 race back in the autumn over 1,600 metres, and she was scratched, so no problems for her at the 16. From a sprint perspective, she can take a little while to warm up. Skylight Glow and Suzanne can quicken a bit better than her potentially, but she does smash the line every time.
Well, look, that's a look at the key factors, and once we add in the form, she's a Group 1 winner, so should be on top here in the overall ratings.
Yeah, let's have a look at those overall ratings now, and you expect Yankee Rose to be clearly on top based on what we just saw from the key factors, and well, it's a massive margin there, isn't it, Stu?
Absolutely, 12.5. We've got Global Glamour in behind, Skylight Glow and Suzanne. So, yeah, absolutely clearly on top. But can we trust her? Can she get the job done? Is it case closed?
You almost need a faith factor, don't you? You almost need a sort of a hotline to Van Dyke to see how she's going. But for us, there's only one bet in this race, really. Those ratings were quite close, 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th. So really hard to differentiate between them. So Yankee Rose or nothing for us. We think the $1.90 is plenty of value for a filly of her class. If she's fine, she will win on Saturday.
Best bet and no need for the value bet. That's confidence. I like that. Look, that's a look at the Flight Stakes. Let's jump straight into the Epsom Stakes. One of my favourites, the mile at Randwick. It reminds me of Superimposed, just running down the outside back in the 90s. And he's a horse that got me into racing. No winks this year, but a cracking field nonetheless.
Well, yeah, he was before I got into racing, Superimposed, and you got me into racing, Stu, so thanks for that. But Superimposed was your favourite. Sunline was mine. None of those in this race, but it's still a pretty good race. Group 1, 1,600 metres, good for fair and fair, hopefully. So a good, fair, honest race. Not a lot of tempo in the race, so it could back off to be a little bit steadier, depending on what Fabrizio does in the lead. Because of that potential tempo setup and because Fabrizio might roll from the 800, you might want a nice trail nearer the pace, so position and run is a big factor for us. Distance, the Randwick mile, obviously important. And Genuine Professional, quite an interesting one. There's one particular horse we'll talk about for that factor later on.
Well, there's so many horses ready to peak for this race too. It is the mile at Randwick. This is one they've all been trained for. And let's have a look at the market. And one that you said there might have a few risks is Palantino. And it's one of the three-way goes on the top at $6. Haraki there at $6 as well. McCreary, the one for Waller. He's won the last three Epsoms. Can McCreary be his main charge this year? We've got Gaze, Fabrizio in there as well. Win by the Frenchman, Johan Victoire. And a little bit up in grade, but nonetheless. And Happy Clapper there at $8, draws the rail. So really competitive market as you'd expect.
Yeah, lots to look at in terms of the replays. There's lots you can look at for these form lines into this race. So hard to pick which ones we're going to play. But let's play McCreary first up. His demolition job last start over 2,000 metres at group level. He was well back this day, but no one expected him to go this well, Stu.
Absolutely not. That's McCreary. He's pretty much hit the front running the turn, didn't he? But some serious horses chasing him here. And so John Hawker just in behind. And that's Allergic, sort of struggling to keep up there at the finish. So some really good form lines in behind.
Well, these are stayers, obviously. So he's careering away from stayers, showing more stamina than stayers over 2,000 metres, which was a surprising effort and obviously eased up right on the line.
Stayers. This is the Epsom. Should he be in the Metrop? That could be a question as well. But another replay we're going to have a look at here is, it's the Tramway. We've got such a great form line, form reference in here with so many horses.
Well, this has to be the best form reference leading up to this race. Obviously, you've got Haraki here in the Godolphin Blue coming up to out the inside. Le Remains on the inside, posting similar sectionals, but not quite getting there. And Dibiani was quite strong too. And there's a couple of others back in the field, Stu, that did quite well next start.
Absolutely. I mean, look at Le Remain along the rail there. That's a horse that just digs in. You've got Sons of John there that's come out in one since. And where do you look? What a finish.
Yeah, three great form lines. And Dibiani, he doesn't win much, but look, he's right there again.
And that there, stepping up to the mile for these horses, it's obviously got to be a key factor, the distance.
Yeah, that was a 1,400 metre race. Those horses were leading up to the 1,600 metres. Let's see which ones are particularly well suited over that distance. Look, there's plenty of gold there straight away. I mean,
that is a lot.
You'd expect a Group 1 mile race for these horses to like the mile, and most of them do. The question for McCreary is he a better horse now after that last run, or is he a 2,000 metre plus horse? So we're thinking potentially the opposite. He's a horse that likes to wind up, but we'll find out on Saturday. Position and run, they're the three horses on the pace. A slight tick to them. And Genuine Professional, Palantino's never been right-handed. He can over-race. He's got to be a slight risk on Saturday.
That is a hell of a lot of gold bars there. But adding in some form, and that's what we're going to have a look at the overall key ratings here. And Haraki is the top rater, but there's one missing here. Happy Clapper, not in the top ratings here. And a horse down there, Palantino, at 10.5, will beat Bart last start. I mean, where's the reasoning there?
Well, yeah, I mean, these form ratings go off the page, basically. We're 12 down to 10.5, and, the ratings could carry on. There's real depth in this race. If you like a horse, it's all about finding the right price. That's all we really care about on Saturday. Happy Clapper, I love the horse. He always runs home late, but barrier one's not particularly good for him. So from a best bet perspective, we'll stick with the top raters, stick with the class. In a very closely matched race, sometimes it's good to stick with the class, and Haraki, he won the good form reference. Next start, he was right behind Winks. You can't go wrong with that form line. He's going to be really hard to beat on Saturday. And Le Remain ties in with him and gets a better run on Saturday potentially as well. And great value each way.
That's going to be a cracking chance. Cracking race. Can't wait to get out there. Well, look, that's a look at the Flight Stakes and the Epsom. We're going to take a quick break now and we'll be back with the Metropolitan after this. Welcome back to Key Factors, presented by theraceguide.com.au. Stu, Rich and Mike Wood here to take you through the remaining two legs of the quaddie, and it is one up here, the Group 1 Metropolitan over 2,400 metres. Sydney's premier staying race of the spring, I should say. And what it's going to be. Antonio Giuseppe going for 5 in a row, and Waller, as he sometimes does, saddling up half the field.
Well, yeah, he's the master of training stays, obviously. And this is one for the racing purists, the Group 1 over 2,400 metres. So a fantastic race to look forward to on Saturday. Group 1, 24, like we said. Good fall conditions on Saturday, a little bit of rain on Thursday, but easing off. Fair to steady tempo. There's not too many horses going forward, and watch out for a bit of an off-rails bias in this race on Saturday. So across the three key factors based on those conditions, there's got to be distance, doesn't it? 1.5 miles. You need to stay that distance right out to win this race. Scope, looking for a stayer on the rise that can beat the handicap system. And wait, a horse that's well placed in the handicap system too.
Really getting up here to the staying distances now. Just whets the appetite for what's to come in Melbourne soon, doesn't it?
Yep, really exciting race.
Well, look, let's have a look at the market. As I said at the top, we've got Antonio Giuseppe going for 5 in a row. Can the winning streak continue at $4.60? So John Hawkwood in behind. Got the McCreary form at $6. Sacred Master, $7 coming off his Newcastle Cup win. Allergic, you can't doubt the boys in blue at the moment, racing well. And Who Shot the Barman and Magic Hurricane, last year's winner there, with 1 kilo more than last year. So, look, just Antonio Giuseppe there at 460 on top, but definitely a great betting race, as usual for the Group 1.
Yeah, a lot of people would have seen Antonio Giuseppe's win last week. It was a great win, but it was a lower grade benchmark win. Let's go to the best form lines, we think, from last autumn when these stayers were last peaking. And there isn't a better form line than the BMW Group 1, which two of these horses were in, or another horse as well, actually, but the two that performed quite well. Who Shot the Barman out wide here in the orange, and Grand Marshal winding up, Stu?
Yeah, look, that was Preferment who just kicked off the turn there and had the race won. But yeah, look out, coming out of the clouds here, Who Shot the Barman, and Grand Marshal just winds up, doesn't he?
Well, it's an amazing record for these two stays, both trained by Waller. If you look through the form guide, they almost always finish alongside each other on equal weights. Last start wasn't the case, but Grand Marshal was simply outsprinted there, so you could forgive him last start.
Well, forgives one thing, but Allergic is just racing really well, so we're going to have a look at him going into the next replay, and we're going to wind the clock back to the autumn.
Yeah, another autumn run as well, and this was the form galloper of the autumn, Libran in the light blue, sort of just getting to the lead now, and Allergic followed him through, and good margin here, Stu.
Yeah, that was the big thing with this race, wasn't it? They really cleared out to third, and well, we haven't seen Libran. There's a few questions to be asked there, but Allergic's chasing a serious horse here and has shown to be competitive already this spring.
Yeah, that form line through Libran ties back into Who Shot the Barman and Grand Marshal, probably quite positively for Allergic. There's a couple of races in the autumn you could tie them in, and Allergic always runs well, and he's a really strong galloper on the rise.
Well, it'll be interesting to see the key factor ratings here, because a couple of these you just mentioned there are on the rise and might be ones to follow.
Well, yeah, once again, distance. It's a Group 1 level. There's a couple off the page there. They're not quite suited at the mile and a half, but most of them okay. Lots of gold bars for 2,400 metres. Scope, Antonio Giuseppe with Waller now, Sacred Master with Waller now, both Kiwi horses on the rise, so they get gold bars. They could simply be improving, but look at Antonio Giuseppe for weight. He's way out of his grade, stepping way up in grade. Really hard ask for him on Saturday.
Yeah, interesting to see the price and then such a low key factor rating there. So we'll see if that factors across in the overall key factors. And, well, it's sort of two groups of horses here, isn't it? We've got Sir John Hawkwood, Sacred Master and Allergic all in the top group there at 12. Another group just in behind. And Antonio Giuseppe, just probably the lowest, well, it is the lowest rater there of Waller's 6.
Well, yeah, 3 and 3, and we gave a reason for not liking Antonio Giuseppe. He could have the scope to jump out of the ground and improve again, but it is a big ask for him. So choosing our best bet, we had to choose between three of those top raters, really. And one of the things we didn't put in the key factors for this race, but could give Allergic the edge, is position in run. He could just get a nice run on the inside from Michael D. He's really strong. The 24 is no risk. Each way all day for us, for Allergic. And Grand Marshal, out of those top 6, he's massive odds, and don't dismiss him after that last run.
He is big odds and always runs on. Love seeing that at Randwick. That's
great value for sure.
Let's look at the Metropolitan, and we're going to wrap up with the Group 2 Premier Stakes. Another cracking race to end the day. It's definitely not the Quaddy Killer, but we've got English and a few others here, and she's favourite again. Yeah, she's always favourite, isn't she? Group 2 weight for age, 1,200 metres. Good for fair, hopefully again. This race should be fair. Not too many on paces though as well, so if you've got a lead up, maybe a little bit of an advantage on your side, which is why position in run is one of the key factors for us. Where is your horse on the speed map? Something to look at. Distance, the 1,200 metres, takes a specialist sprinter. And weight, once again, the classy types are suited at weight for age always. Specialist sprinter, as you said. I remember this 1,200 metres. We've got to love it. Go back to Chautauqua, but he's not there tomorrow. We'll see that in a second. He's not there tomorrow, but English is. And again, she's on top in the market. 320 it was earlier today, into 280. So there's already been some money there today. Southern Legend, the Les Bridge horses are flying at the moment on the second line at $5. We've got Takedown. Wouldn't it be great to see Gary Moore do his victory dance again out on the straight at Randwick? That was something to see. We've got Kaepernick there, a little bit of speckle today, 9s into 8s, and then out to Rebel Dane. So English very dominant again. Well, yeah, she's always favourite, isn't she? And looking through those replays, we've got to have a look at a couple of replays with her just to see if you want to forgive her for first up or you want to back her for first up. But let's look at her first up run. We're not going to look at Gary Moore's dance, unfortunately, but just the replay itself. Takedown on the pace, striding up in the right spot here, Stu. Takedown's the one in the orange with the purple cap, that's right, and they're all chasing Ball of Muscle. But there's English in the white hat coming down the outside. Now, what's 3 wide, without cover, it was back. What are his excuses? Well, they are the excuses, Stu. Kaepernick was a stronger run, but English has the weight turnaround, was 3 wide there. And she found the line pretty well for a horse that, was stuck wide. And that was Kaepernick just sliding up along the rail there, which is also a good run. And also a very good run first up. Yep. And let's stick with English here. We're going to have a look back to the TJ. We're going back to the autumn. And another horse here, our boy Malachi in the orange, was striding in front this day. Well, yeah, like we did with the staying race, we want to see how high these horses can rate at their best. And this is a great example of that. Our boy Malachi, massive power, huge speed. He actually almost missed the start this day and got to the front and gave a humongous kick to almost win the Group 1.
And English is running out there with a pretty good one, Stu, you mentioned before.
Yeah, there's Chautauqua, the booming grey down the outside. But yeah, you got to go back to that, don't you, English? That's a great run up against some quality opposition.
Yeah, and she obviously went on to beat Blackheart Bard in the Group 1 level over 1,400 metres as well. So her form lines do stack up, and we think she's a bit better over 1,200 metres than 1,100 metres for sure.
So distance is one there that's come across the key factors all day today?
Well, yeah, so distance, gold bars, as you can see, lots of gold bars there. English, like we said, potentially a little bit better at 12. From a weight perspective, the class horses, English, under the Louv's actually been scratched, so ignore the ratings for him. Our boy Malachi actually really well weighted as well, so those ratings are a bit out of whack. Position in run, a couple of horses well rated too.
I'm just looking across to the key factors now, and I really just want to see if we've got Gary Moore's horse in there, because I really want to see that on Saturday. But let's not get that in the way of our punting. We've got English on top. She's a solid top raider, and not too much. Well, Kaepernick was ahead last start, but a big gap in the ratings here. So explain that one to us.
Well, yeah, there's a clear two top raiders, isn't it? English and our boy Malachi from the rest, because of that Group 1 form at their best, and because we think English can improve. Kaepernick may improve, but he needs to do it for the first time. So the ratings have almost done the job for us from a best bet perspective. The top two are our top two best bets. English, we're forgiving her. Maybe one more time only, but we're forgiving her this time. The price is probably about right, so you don't want to get her too much shorter than that. But especially if they are swooping home out wide, maybe have a look at the track. She's still a great bet. She's a really classy filly, or classy mare now. Yeah, and our boy Malachi can't go wrong with the leader on the pace.
Have one leading and one swooping home. Well, there you go.
As always, a good way to play each way.
The team's going to stick with English. Well, look, there's a look at the quaddie. We're going to wrap this up now and show our selections. What we've done here, it looks as though it's starting quite skinny. We do have a very short price favourite to start, but there's a lot of meat there in the middle.
Yeah, very wide in the middle, this quaddie, isn't it? It's kind of Yankee Rose or nothing for us in race 6. Race 7, going very wide. We're leaving out the Melbourne horse Palantino. We're putting in McCreary, even though he's back to 16. Race 8, look, it is very open, but we like those horses. 3 on the rise, plus Grand Marshal at massive odds. And the 2 Group 1 horses over 1,200 metres to bring it home in race 9.
Well, that's a look at Epsom Day at Randwick this Saturday. It's going to be a fantastic day. I know our team's excited to be out there. Whatever you're doing, the AFL, the Grand Final, the NRL, have a great weekend. Head to theraceguide.com.au from 9 o'clock on Friday morning. All the race guides are going to be online with all the horse profiling and everything you need for a cracking Epsom Day. But until then, have a fantastic Epsom Day and we'll see you next week.